and take it over. Ask him about 3 or 4 questions. Stay with him on this segment. Welcome back to Networking Squared. Jerry O here with Mr. Al Crawford, and we are mourning Sparky Anderson's death this week. I see you're all dressed up in your tiger stuff today. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, Sparky Anderson was like one of my childhood idols, and it was really a bummer to hear about him passing. I've been involved with Catch, which is his charity for Children's Hospital, for the last 15 years, and I am wearing my Catch official Catch shirt today in honor of Sparky. So I met him several times at the outings, and he always treated everyone like he was their best friend, and it was an honor to be able to have met him and speak to him and stuff. So yeah, he'll be missed. I think he was a big part of the Detroit history.
An absolute Detroit icon, and we will miss Sparky Anderson. Well, Al, I know you had a question for Michael. Let's get to it, buddy.
All right, Michael, I'm going to restate the question here. And this is, I quote, "Your people will learn valuable communication techniques just by shaking my hand, or you don't have to pay me."
It's true. I teach a technique called the perfect handshake. And because the handshake is so important in interpersonal networking, it's the precursor to dialogue in almost every situation. You shake somebody's hand and then you begin the conversation, right? Whether it's small talk or even some substantial networking data. And there are certain techniques to shaking a hand, and I bring a person up front in my live training sessions, and it is a very, very funny bit of the program, and the audiences love it. The reason I got into this in the first place, I didn't think it was really necessary, but I was shaking hands in Kansas one day many, many years ago, and I met this young man, and he did everything wrong you could do in a handshake. You know, his hand literally fell out of my hand.
Oh, the wet fish.
Oh yeah, while I was shaking it. Eye contact was terrible. He didn't say it was nice to meet me. He didn't mention his name. He did everything wrong. And for some time I had been thinking about maybe adding a component like this to the program. And I said to him, you know, I'm asking people where they learned how to shake hands. I'm just curious, where did you learn how to shake hands? And I'll never forget his answer. He looked me in the eye, and then he said, I learned from watching television. And he was serious. He didn't have a father. He didn't have a father figure to show him how to shake hands. And he was going to go the rest of his life sending these types of negative signals, not only about himself, but what people could expect from him. And I pulled him aside, and after the class I gave him some extra time, and I hope I gave him some techniques that will serve him the rest of his life.
It's really interesting. One of the things that I've had happen, and I'm interested to, and I know I've shaken your hand several times, but I'd like to kind of experience that again. But I've actually been getting this, when I'm shaking somebody's hand, that I'm doing some sort of a fraternity handshake. And so I have these people asking me if I'm in this fraternity, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So a little frightening, actually.
Well, handshakes have become complicated, right? There's a little twist and a dance and elbow, and you know, you got to say the code word. And
yeah. So this fraternity, I'm always a little curious about what the heck it is.
you know,
So I want to ask you a couple other questions here, Michael. What originally got you into the speaking business?
Well, you know, I came from the music business, and I spent a lot of time in front of microphones like we are today. Got very comfortable in front of crowds, and we learned a bit of timing. We learned what makes people smile. We learned what to move people to the dance floor. And I had a middle career in sales. I was in the telecommunications business, so I was doing 50 outbound calls a day trying to get people to get their wallets out. So I was getting two pieces of my life coming together, the entertainment piece happening from the music business and the education piece coming from sales and how to educate people and motivate them to buy a product or service. When my father died in 1997, I had a little bolt from above that said maybe I should be doing something with my life that I really want to do, that I really am passionate about, and that's when I quit my job. I was doing actually quite well at it, and cut my income in half so that I could do something that I really wanted to do, which was speak. And as it turns out now I have 3 revenue streams. I don't worry about money anymore. I have a speaking career, I have a publishing career, which is the information products, and I have a consulting career, and they all come together quite nicely.
Which one of those do you like best, do you think?
It's fun to go back and forth. I love the live feedback from an audience. There's nothing, and Jerry, you know this as an entertainer, there's nothing like the live feedback from an audience. But I also like being with myself and crafting a really good article on something and then having it go out and just sending it out to the masses. The feedback's quite different, but it's still very rewarding.
Now, I know that you had your music career back in the 80s, and I've had some people that, when I posted this invitation on Facebook, that had recognized you from from the 80s. And with everything you've accomplished, I mean, you've traveled the world, you've been all over the place. What achievement are you the most proud of?
What a great question. I think it would be being on your show.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
Boy.
Well, now that you've fed us here in the studio, how about if you feed the studio audience, and why don't you give them something that they can use and start using next week?
Sure. We talked a little bit earlier about Facebook and social media and posting and these types of good habits. Here's a great technique that you can use on social media that pays big dividends. Now, I'm talking to you if you are not on Facebook or LinkedIn as a hobby, but if you're looking to market something, a product, a service, it's a very easy trick, and that is to ask a question rather than make a declaration. For example, the phrase, "I'm having meatloaf for dinner," will get you very few responses, even if you have a massive list. But if you say, "I'm having meatloaf for dinner, what's your favorite meat?" you will multiply those responses by 10. People will say, "I love chicken, I love barbecue chicken, my favorite recipe is this, this, and this." And your people start trading recipes in that thread. When I say thread, T-H-R-E-A-D. What this does is it makes you multidimensional. There's more action on your page. People feel like they would come back and visit with you another time. In the same way that in a radio show, it's much more interesting to have two people with the interplay, like you guys have great rapport, than one person, even if that one person's a genius. So you want that kind of interplay on your social media pages, and the way to get it is through questions.
So you're working on, instead of statements, you're working on creating dialogue.
Correct. And you have to go back and answer the dialogue. Once the 10 or 12 people tell you their favorite meat, you go back to that thread and you thank everyone, or you add something else, and that often reignites the grill that all that food's cooking on.
All right.
Yeah, it was kind of funny when you go through and you start having the big following on Facebook. When you have a birthday, that does create kind of an epic situation, because the amount of happy birthdays I got was amazing. It was really an amazing thing. And if you think people aren't paying attention, oh, wow, are you wrong?
Yep.
Well, how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way? And
Sure.
what can you do for them?
Well, if you're interested to know, I live and work in downtown Royal Oak, so I'm very accessible, very easy to get to. The website is simply my name, www.michaelangelocaruso.com. That's M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Angelo, just as it sounds, and Caruso, just as it sounds, C-A-R-U-S-O. My business number is 248-224-9667. I do sales training, I do leadership training, I do conference keynotes where I open the conference teaching people how to network, teaching people the perfect handshake. I have a lot to offer. I look forward to some calls, and it's great being your guest today. You guys are fantastic.
Well, thanks. And Michael, one question I do have to ask on the air is, everything I see on Facebook and LinkedIn, you're all using the Angelo. What's the story behind the middle name?
Well, the truth is, I was Mike Caruso for the first 35 years of my life. And when I became a speaker, I thought Michael had more cachet, a little bit more professional. And then when I became an author, my real name being Michael, being Angelo, I thought Michael Angelo Caruso was poetic, it was lyrical, it really spoke volumes, and I get a lot of positive feedback on my name. It helped me brand me as a distinct personality. Made me sound maybe a little bit more important than I am. And then my goal was to try to live up to that image.
Well, I like it. I think it is unique, and it's cool because people recognize it instead of it being something, a generic name. It is very, it's different.
Thank you.
Now, a question, what's going on next? What's going on in your life? What are the things that are coming up in your life in the next month or so?
Well, in a few weeks I'll be driving down to Ohio to speak for a major regional bank that wants to differentiate itself in terms of its image. A lot of people think all banks are the same, evil. I think this bank wants to have an image that's a little bit better than most, so they're asking me to come in and kind of retool that. We're doing a local event here. By local, I mean the Detroit area. It'll be at the Troy Holiday Inn on the weekend of December 4 and 5. And in fact, Al, I think we're going to have a chance to speak together again. This is Manish Baxy's event. It's the Entrepreneur Boot Camp. I'm not sure there's a strict URL on it yet, but you've got something on Facebook?
Yeah, if you're interested in this, interested in being a part of it, the tickets are going on sale. In the next few days, are going to go on sale. It's $97, and it's actually a 2-day event. It goes from 9 to 5, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and the docket of speakers is amazing. I am so honored.
Great value for this event.
Yeah, I am so honored to be considered on this panel. It's working out really well. I'm excited about it, and I was so happy to see that you were on the docket as well. I'm honored to be on the show with you.
Thank you. I look forward to that.
Alrighty, well, you know what, Michael, can you stick around for the next segment?
Sure, yeah.
We may have a couple more questions for you. We've got a whole list of questions, and we've got some stuff going on for next week for us. We are Networking Squared. We thank you for being here on a gorgeous, sunny Saturday afternoon.